Miraculous hater.
You are so
Hell you, it's not bad, frick you.
You are so sick. I love this show. I don't always have to be perfect. And don't make me trash. You leave this show alone or you will be so sorry you made this video.
so
You.
Stop hating and making fun of them. This show is creative, smart, and
How
love
dare you
scenes.
people
I would
work
hate
hard,
the
make
animated
thus, and
version.
all you do
It
is
has
insult
to
them.
be
See,
the
that
best
show
video.
is bad.
Better
Well,
than
let me
that.
back
Better
into
than
that.
that.
Miraculous has the best
Actually
show.
enjoy the
It's
show.
time.
You are so annoying.
Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is the WireMagician, also known as Will Duff from Real Life, and wow, part 1 got a lot more views than I thought it would, so I just want to say thank you guys right off the bat for that. And yeah, I don't really want to beat around the bush, so yeah, let's just get into it. You guys want to hear me rewrite a season of Ladybug? So we're gonna do that. So let me explain what this is gonna be. I'm going to take the show, its premise at least, and I'm gonna rewrite it entirely. I'm not gonna like continue on from season 3. I want to do a complete rewrite. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but this video is going to be a bit more rough because I'm reading off of an outline rather than an actual script. So yeah, I think it's just a better way to get like my thoughts out, and as well as the fact that I think it's better for the general outline that I'm going rather than writing a fully fledged season. So I just want to set a couple of rules before we start. The first thing is that this is going to be a 2D animated show. I know some people said they liked the 3D animation, and that's fine, I get it, but this is my rewrite, so yeah, we're gonna do the 2D animation like how it was in the anime trailer. We're gonna have one consistent studio, at least per season. If we could get the people who animated the anime trailer, cool. If not, maybe I'd get, I don't know, Madhouse. They do some pretty good animation. And lastly, origin episodes are going to come first. Like I said in part 1, this is a new IP, so I really want people to understand the concept right away, so that's why I'm putting the origin episodes first. Oh, and I guess if you haven't seen part 1, you probably want to go and watch that. It's not, like, required, but if you don't know the show, it's probably going to help, as well as the fact help you know the problems that I had with the show. Either way, here's how this is going to work. I'm going to do the first 2 episodes in detail first, since those are the origin episodes, and then from there we're going to talk more about the general plot and character development that goes throughout the season. We start with Marinette, and she's going to be a sophomore in high school. Now, the original show made her look like a normal, nice person, but the rewrite is gonna crank that shit up to 11. She's gonna be a super nice person. In fact, she's too nice of a person. She's too scared to ever raise her voice or stand up for herself. She does things like tutor kids after school in some random subject. I don't know, maybe like physics. That way all the scenes where she does the little detective vision makes a little more sense. Or maybe Chinese, since it goes back to her Asian heritage. I don't know. Either way, pick your poison. She tutors kids after school. That's what's important. I'm also going to put her on the student council as the treasurer, not the president, because even though people trust her with things like money, they really don't see her as a take-charge leader type of person. I was actually thinking we could make Chloe the president, giving her a reason for her hatred of Marinette. She's angry that everyone likes her so much, and she thinks she might steal the spotlight. Yeah, it's not much of a reason, but it's more than the original gave us. On top of all that, she also helps her parents out of the family bakery shop. Now, this was done in the original, but there it felt more like something she had to do, and it was just kind of, you know, occasionally there in one episode or two. In this, it's going to be something to further characterize her as a person who's too nice and can't learn to say no. She helps her family, friends, and even random strangers. So one day, she's walking home from tutoring the kids, and a car drives by a puddle and completely soaks her. It's legit the same shot as in the anime trailer. I really like that shot. Someone asks her if she's okay, she turns around and gives a big smile. It's like, and I mean really big, it almost seems forced. She gets home acting happy around her parents, and then she goes up to her room and closes the door. And she stands there for a few seconds, and then we get an extreme close-up of her mouth, and we see her smile slowly fade. We cut to her eyes, and they start to slowly water up. Then we get a wide shot of the room, making her look small. And she drops to her knees and quietly cries into her hands. This is going to help to characterize her as someone who's more three-dimensional, because she knows she's too nice, and wants to be the type of person who can stand up to others. but feels like she's powerless. As she stops crying, she looks up and sees a picture on her dresser. It's a class picture from her first year in high school, and in the picture is Adrian. Yeah, I'm not gonna have this weird wall shrine thing to him like they did in the original. That was creepy, in my opinion, and it was weird how they only paid it off as either romantic or funny, because roles reversed, I think a lot of people would think it's creepy. So she looks at the class picture, focuses on Adrian, wipes the tears from her eyes, and then finally gives a genuine smile. Cut to Adrian. The original made him to be actually pretty similar to Marinette, except he wasn't shy or clumsy. The rewrite, however, is going to paint him to be a cold, almost rude kind of person. It's the vibe I got from the anime trailer, and I really liked it. It gave him a distinct personality and felt completely opposite from Marinette. He doesn't have any friends or relationships because he knows his father wouldn't allow it. He goes to school, practices piano, models his dad's stuff, rinse, repeat. He's bored with his life. One day, he gets home and he's playing piano or something, and he notices his dad's car pulling up to the front. He goes to the front of the mansion to see his father and is like bouncing up and down. He's super excited, and you can tell that he doesn't get to see his dad that often. His father walks through the door, and we see Adrian smile for the first time. But his father just looks at Adrian, sighs, and then walks away. And Adrian's smile quickly fades as he sulks back to his room. He goes to his desk and looks at a family picture of him, his dad, and his mom. They're all smiling and look happier in the photo. We zoom in on his mother, and then we cut to Adrian smiling. Now, we could either do a side-by-side shot or maybe a quick cut between Adrian and Marinette, but basically what's going to happen is a bright light is going to appear behind both of them. And this box will appear on their dresser table thing, and both of them will pick up the box and their kwamis just appear. Both of them have like a freak out moment. I mean, Adrian is really more confused and curious, kind of like in the original where he's like, did my dad set this up? Is this like a test or whatever? But Marinette is trying to like swat it away like a fly, just destroying everything in her room. Once both of them eventually realize what's going on and calm down, the explanation begins. The whole chosen one speech, the whole like, you have been chosen by the blah 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 to be whatever. So first we're gonna focus on Adrian, and his Kwame, Plague, is telling him that he will be given the powers of the Cat Noir, giving him strength, agility, speed, and Adrian just cuts him off mid-sentence and asks him how to activate these powers. Plague tells him to wear the ring and say the phrase, claws out. Then he tries to explain more of the powers and responsibilities, but is again cut off by Adrian activating the ring. After Adrian transforms, he jumps out a window, high up in his room, and leaves his house. On the flip side, we look at Marinette, and her Kwame, Tiki, is explaining all the powers and responsibilities as well. But Marinette is like intensely listening. She's taking notes with different colored pens and highlighters. After the explanation, she asks Tiki if she's allowed to do whatever she wants with the powers. Tiki says, yeah, as long as it helps the greater good, she can do as she pleases. So Marinette folds up the pieces of paper she was writing notes on and tapes it to the box. Tiki is confused and asks her what she's doing. Marinette explains that she's leaving the notes for the true person, because she doesn't think she's the chosen one, because she's powerless even in her normal life. She says she's gonna do what's best for the greater good and give the box to the police. Tiki begs her not to though, and it just keeps telling her that she has to be the one that does it. Finally, she'll reach a compromise by telling Marinette that she at least needs to hold on to the box until Marinette personally can find a good successor. Marinette agrees and then puts the box in a drawer, and Tiki disappears. She leaves to go grocery shopping or I don't know, something for her parents that gets her out of the house. Cut back to Adrian. He's jumping across rooftops and having a lot of fun with it, like that scene from Spider-Man 1 where he first gets his powers. As he lands on one of the rooftops, he starts to stumble, and the suit starts to shake until his Kwame forces himself out of the ring. Plague asks him, what is he doing? Adrian responds by saying he's finally getting out of the house and his dad can't stop him now. Plague could even say something like, well, you are full of yourself, aren't you? And it causes Adrian to be taken aback and confused, because I mean, he knows he's cold, but he's not rude. His Kwame could even joke and say like, oh, I've been on a lot of bad first dates before, but you didn't even ask my name. After that, we hear a crashing sound and a couple gunshots, then see a police car drive after a speeding car. Plague tells Adrian that he has to go and stop those guys, since that's his responsibility. Adrian refuses and says nothing is his responsibility, and he's gonna go see his one friend he has. He forces Plague back into the ring and transforms. Cut back to Marinette, who is coming back from the grocery shop. As she's heading home, she's looking at every person that she sees along the way. In fact, she's like scanning them with like robot eyes. She starts to smile eventually and even laugh to herself. For once, she feels like she's in control of something. She gets home and sees the front window to the bakery smashed up, a car wreck right next to it, and the police inside talking to her parents. She finds out that a group of robbers crashed into the bakery and escaped through the back, stealing Marinette's parents' car and all the money from the register. Marinette rightfully freaks out about all this and runs upstairs. She opens the drawer to reveal the box, and as she goes to grab it, hesitates. Cut back to Adrian. So he lands outside of this like apartment complex thing, and Plagg eventually just forces himself out and says he's not gonna have any of this, and he will not transform until Adrian learns to use these powers for good. He dismisses Plagg, puts the box in his pocket, and thinks nothing of it. Then he goes to the penthouse of this apartment complex and meets with Chloe, the one person who his dad kind of lets him hang out with because she goes to his events a lot. And in the original, Chloe was like kind of annoying and sometimes mean, but in this, she's just gonna be anyone who is not named Adrian, she's gonna treat like trash. And because she hangs out with Adrian, people associate them as the same spoiled, rude, rich kids. And this affects Adrian a little bit, but he tries to brush it off. And after some time of hanging out, they see a news report on their phone or TV, and it shows that there were these robbers that stole money from a bank and crashed into Marinette's family's bakery. Chloe laughs and says Marinette gets what she deserves. And Adrian realizes that those were the robbers that he ignored. And after realizing that and seeing Chloe's reaction, he realizes that he's becoming like her. So he freaks out and he leaves Chloe's place, opens his Miraculous box, and tells Plagg that he'll stop the robbers, but he's only doing this to prove he's not a spoiled, rude, rich kid. Marinette opens her box, and Tiki's super happy, like, oh, you've accepted the thing, and Marinette's like, no, I'm just doing this to help out my family. The episode ends with the two side by side transforming into their costumes. We start off with Marinette standing in the costume with this power pose 1 second, and then she starts freaking out the next second. It shows that just because she has the powers now, doesn't mean she's this badass, independent woman. I had to snap in a Z formation, if anyone was wondering what that was. And we're gonna fix something that I had an issue in the main show, because she's worried that people will recognize her in this costume and has no clue how to track the criminals. So she takes off the earrings, freaks out, and Tiki pops out and says the mask is magic and will disguise her face and voice from everyone so that no one will ever find out she's Ladybug. She says something like, oh, while the cat is better for tracking and stealth operations, you can still find the criminals with your powers and abilities. So she puts back on the suit and goes outside. Her yo-yo device thing beeps. She opens it up and it shows that it's tracking the tire marks or something from the car the criminals stole. So Marinette jumps away and follows the trail. Maybe we even get a small montage of her trying to use her super agility and speed while making mistakes and being clumsy to show she's not fully used to or confident in her powers yet. Cut to the criminals in a warehouse. I know I'm doing that a lot. There's around 4 or 5 of them. We see Marinette's parents' car and a ton of money in the trunk. The criminals are discussing about their escape plan and how they just have to hide from the cops for a little longer. But Ladybug enters above them and could even say some cheesy one-liner in an attempt to look cool. A small fight scene breaks out between them, and Marinette is starting to actually get the hang of her powers, but does ultimately lose the fight. 2 people hold her down while one grabs a baseball bat or something. And as this guy's walking up, she's freaking out, she's scared, she realizes she's just a teenager, she's way in over her head. And right before he hits her, a pair of green eyes and fangs appear out of the shadows from behind. The 2 guys holding Ladybug freak out and let go. Cat Noir jumps onto the guy holding the bat. Ladybug and Cat Noir fight the criminals, and some banter happens between them. Something like, who are you? The same as you. You get a ring also? No. She smirks. Earrings. The fight continues. So, what's your name, Earrings? Aren't you curious to know? Well, I heard it's polite to ask names on a first date. Oh, so you think this is a date? Ladybug. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure's all mine, my lady. Call me Cat. Cat Noir. Yeah, I know. I just came up with it within a few seconds. I'm sorry if it was cheesy and cringy. Either way, it establishes flirting and a good chemistry between the two. The episode ends with the 2 defeating the criminals, and we see a news report on the criminals' arrest and how they claim to be attacked by a girl in a Ladybug costume and a dude that looked like a black cat. We can even get a shot of the 2 standing on top of a building high up or something, looking at the criminals getting arrested, and they have this kind of moment of like, they both thought, oh, I was just gonna do this one time for, whatever reason, but this just feels right, So they part ways and pretty much agree that they'll probably do this again or something like that. Then we see the news report again, and it starts to zoom out and we see a television watching it. And then a hand comes into frame holding a butterfly pin. So I didn't put any supervillains in the origin episodes because I wanted to focus more on the heroes and their powers and personalities before throwing all the things about the main villain. So those are the origin episodes down. So now let's focus on where I want the general outline of the plot and character development to go. The main villain, if you can believe it, hold your breath ladies and gentlemen, is going to be Hawkmoth. I know. Shocking. One thing I want to establish first is I want to make a couple changes to the powers. So the first thing I kind of want to just get rid of is a power called the Miraculous Ladybugs. If you have seen the show, you're probably going to know why I'm getting rid of this. If you haven't seen the show, this is a power that Ladybug uses when she throws her lucky charm thing into the air, and these ladybugs, like real ladybugs, come out of nowhere and they just repair things that her and Cat Noir destroyed or damaged. And like, there's even one episode where, I'm not joking, it repairs the moon that's split in half. So it's a little OP. So I'm gonna take that out so we can, you know, have themes and like maybe questions of like, oh, are they doing more harm than good? And maybe like they start off destroying a lot of things, but then by the end they get better and don't destroy a lot of things, showing growth as superheroes. I don't know, just stuff like that. The other thing I want to change is they can use their powers like Lucky Charm and Cataclysm. They can use that multiple times, but each time they use it, it drains the suit energy by 20%. Also, I forgot to address it in the Origins episode, but yeah, the Miraculouses are just kind of like given to them like Green Lantern rings are. I was thinking it could probably be explained in the later seasons of why and how they exist, but I just kind of like it more of like these magical items choose its own beings instead of just some random old guy. Just my preference. So anyways, let's get to this outline. After the Origin episodes, they'll start to learn about Hawkmoth through a random supervillain he possessed. Maybe, the pigeon one, I forget his name. And their Kwamis tell them both about how there are several Miraculouses, and if any of them fall into the wrong hands, each one can be countered by another. Ladybug counters the butterfly. It makes things even for all the Miraculouses, and doesn't just make the Ladybug the only necessary one. It also gets people thinking like, what counters the Ladybug? What counters the cat? What other Miraculouses are there? Also, by putting all the Miraculouses on an even playing field, it shows how good of superheroes our two main characters are. Not because they have the most powerful Miraculous, but because they're just good at doing what they do. So the first few episodes of this segment are kind of more fun and lighthearted. It's going to focus more on the two protagonists learning their powers and building chemistry between another. Honestly, this is going to surprise some people, but the 2 to 3 episodes in this segment are going to be pretty much the same formula from the original show. That formula works for a couple episodes, actually, especially in the beginning. So the next few episodes after that, we'll start doing things differently and have different types of episodes. Maybe an episode more focused on Cat Noir and him tracking a villain, or does a stealth mission to find out what normal criminals know about Hawkmoth. Or an episode where Hawkmoth starts gaining an underground following, a cult of people who were akumatized in the past but still think that Hawkmoth is doing good or something. And so they end up attacking Ladybug and Cat Noir alongside whatever supervillain they're fighting to maybe get reakumatized? Or how about an episode where someone is saved and they're still emotionally scarred afterwards, letting the heroes and audience know how much of a threat Hawkmoth is and the lasting consequences he causes. Or maybe even an episode where someone does get reakumatized and is willing and works alongside with Hawkmoth. What? Am I in Boston? And yes, they had this with Lila, which is why I thought she was one of the more interesting characters, but they rarely used her. After those episodes, things will start to become less lighthearted as we move to the climax of the season. These episodes will be more character-driven. We'll start to have some of the villains of the week be more powerful and take multiple episodes to defeat. If you didn't see part 1, basically the two things I said a good character needs is a good want, which is an external conflict, and a good need, which is an internal conflict. And I said how the original show did give some good external conflicts, but not really the best internal conflicts, if any at all. So let's start with Marinette. In this rewrite, her wants are the same as the original, defeat Hawkmoth and be with Adrian. But her needs. In the original, I said they were undefined, but I think maybe I misspoke when I said that, because a lot of you in the comments did say that Marinette has needs, like being more confident, for example. And I agree with you. What I meant to say in the original video was that she does have needs and there are things there for her, but it very much seems like the writers really aren't going for it. So anyways, in this rewrite, what are her needs? Her two main ones are 1. Trusting Cat Noir. She treats him like a sidekick and thinks he's good at some things, but isn't strong enough to defeat Hawkmoth because she's the only one that counters him. And her second one is to be more confident in herself. As Ladybug, she's confident, but when she's just Marinette, she goes back to being her shy self and too nice of a person. She needs to realize that the powers aren't what make her confident, rather it's just her determination. Now what about Adrian? His wants, if you can believe them, are defeat Hawkmoth and be with Ladybug. I know. His two main needs are 1, believing in himself. Because yeah, Ladybug treats him like a sidekick, and he knows he can't counter the Butterfly Miraculous. He legitimately thinks he can't stop Hawkmoth, but he needs to realize that just because he doesn't fully counter the Butterfly Miraculous doesn't mean he's useless. And the second one is learning to be with the person who truly loves you. Ladybug constantly rejects him over and over, while Marinette is constantly trying to get his attention. And he's not stupid, he knows Marinette likes him, he just doesn't care because he's so obsessed with Ladybug because she reminds him of the life outside of his normal boring one. Throughout the show, Ladybug and Cat Noir will face multiple villains created by Hawkmoth. And at first, it will really seem like Ladybug is the main character and Cat Noir is a sidekick. But as the season progresses, we see Cat Noir trying to take more of a lead, but Ladybug pushes him to the side. The first time could be for humor, but it'll slowly start to become more serious. There'll even be one episode where Cat Noir is convinced he knows how to stop the villain of the week, and he tells Ladybug his plan and really tries to convince her. But Ladybug doesn't budge. She still sees Cat Noir as someone who just doesn't know what he's doing or talking about, and just goes with her own plan. But her plan will fail, and the villain will get away. Cat Noir is gonna get angry and reprimands her, saying how she's always treating him like the sidekick, and he just feels disrespected. All he ever does is the tedious grunt work, while she comes in to take all the glory. They argue, and it ends up with Cat Noir leaving and telling Ladybug she can defeat the villain on her own, since she doesn't need him. This is where the turn in both characters and needs will be. Let me explain what I mean. Ladybug will go off to face against the villain alone. Maybe he can be the one that duplicates, like, the rock monster thing from the Origin episodes. And Cat Noir will just be on top of a building, sulking and thinking. He'll talk to Plague and explain how maybe he isn't good enough, and Ladybug is right. But Plague will remind him that, yeah, he's not Ladybug. He's not the strong fighter that she is. What he is stealth. He's the one who waits within the shadows, and takes the villain out before they even know he's there. Ladybug might be revered by the civilians as a hero, but he's feared by the criminals as a myth. That is the power of the Cat Noir. So after hearing Plague's speech, Adrian stops sulking and stands up, looking at the city of Paris in the night. And we cut to a shot of his ring as it starts to glow, signifying he's about to transform. I think it's good to get the two characters that are mainly used for comedic effect to have such a serious moment, because not many would expect it, and it ends up hitting much harder, as well as remind the audience that these characters have more to them than meets the eye. If you couldn't tell by now, I'm making Ladybug like Superman and Cat Noir like Batman, because I'm basic, and I don't have any original ideas. Cut back to Ladybug, who is fighting the rock monsters at some random abandoned building. She's having a really tough time with it. Like, she's fighting her hardest, but the monsters are overwhelming her. She eventually gets knocked down, and two of the monsters hold her, while one starts to walk towards her to finish her off. We see her scared and not knowing what to do. Just like that first night she became Ladybug. She closes her eyes and thinks back to that night. Remembers being scared and how she thought she wasn't even going to leave there alive. Then remembers seeing those green eyes and those fangs and how they saved her. And when she opens her eyes, she sees the same green eyes and fangs. Her eyes widen in disbelief and she starts to smile. Cat Noir pounces onto the monster and takes it down with one swipe. He quickly uses his Cataclysm on the remaining two, holding Ladybug, moving faster than he ever has before. He helps her up. The two have a heartwarming moment, signifying that whatever differences they had before ends now. and the two take down the rest of the rock monsters with ease. They're finally able to fully work together in a fight, and are so in sync that this fight no longer poses a challenge. 4 crucial things happen in this moment. 1. Cat Noir learns that no matter what everyone else says, he knows he's valuable, and he can be just as good as Ladybug can. He accepts who he is. 2. Ladybug realizes just how much Cat Noir helps her and understands that they both need each other in order to keep the world safe. She trusts him. 3. Cat Noir / Adrian accepted that while Ladybug is generally nice to him, she doesn't have the same feelings he does. He doesn't want to wait around and be with someone who constantly pushes him to the side. He starts to go for the girl who really likes him, which is Marinette. And 4. Ladybug finally realizes how much Cat Noir really cares about her, and she realizes that Adrian really hasn't ever given her the time of day. So yeah, in a sense, the relationship does kind of stay in the same place, but now the interactions are going to be different since it's essentially flipped. So heading into the finale, both Ladybug and Cat Noir face off against Hawkmoth in this final battle. Maybe he's finally ready to face them because he finds this cult that's been worshipping him and reakumatizes them with the one condition that they help him defeat Ladybug and Cat Noir. So the two use their abilities better than they ever have before in this final giant battle, even using their powers so much that they get down to their last 20% on the Miraculouses. During the battle, near the end, they both find out that Hawkmoth is Gabriel Agreste, and Cat Noir gets angry and confused, and his immediate reaction is just to lunge at Hawkmoth with his cataclysm. Ladybug stops him, confused as to why he's doing this, and says that he'll face justice, but not like this. So Cat Noir holds back, and the two defeat Hawkmoth and take his Miraculous. Gabriel's arrested and is also being interviewed at the time. And when he's asked why he did all this, his response is simply, "I did all this for my wife. And Adrian, I know you'll understand all of this one day." Cut to later that night. Ladybug meets Cat Noir on top of a building that he asked her to. She notices that Cat Noir seems upset and asks him what's been going on. He looks at the butterfly Miraculous that he's holding, and then he hesitates to say anything because he realizes that if he tells her the truth about Hawkmoth, he reveals his identity as well. He gets 3 words in. "Hawkmoth is my..." And suddenly, in the distance, an explosion appears. Both of them look at each other and nod, and without saying a word, head off to face whatever danger lies ahead. Our final scene takes place in a dark, small room. We see several people sitting around a table, and a voice can be heard at the head, but is still covered in the shadows. He explains how he's called everyone here to take care of a problem. Most of the people at the table are like mob bosses or related to the mafia or criminals in some sort. And he gives this little speech saying,
"Gentlemen, I've called you all here to take care of a problem that's been plaguing our city. Superheroes acting as if they are gods, playing with people's lives, deciding what's right and wrong, yet not suffering the consequences of their actions. The people of Paris deserve better, and it's time to take back our city."
As he says the line, "take back our city," he leans forward, and the person is revealed to be the mayor. Dun dun dun. So the story ends on a close point. The villain is defeated and our heroes are in a different place than they were in the beginning. If I didn't intend to set up a second season, I would have probably had the romance reach its closure as well as develop Gabriel and Hawkmoth more, because I was kind of wanting to save that for season 2 while giving season 1 really the development for Ladybug and Cat Noir. So yeah, the second season can explore that and the relationship in even more depth, and also deal with the plot point of other Miraculouses and how they exist and where they originally came from in the first place. So that's it. That's how, in a sense, I would rewrite Miraculous Ladybug if I was given the chance to. I just want to make some final points because this is probably going to be my last video on Miraculous Ladybug. Actually, hey guys, it's me from the future. I'm editing this video right now, and yes, I sound sick. No, it's not with what you think it is. That has been one of the reasons why I haven't been able to get this out earlier than I wanted to, as well as a couple other personal reasons I won't get into. But yeah, I am going to be doing a part 3, seeing how everybody in the comments recently has been asking me to watch the New York special. So I'll do that, I guess, and make probably a shorter video about my raw thoughts on it.
And yeah, that'll be part 3. It's probably not going to be right away just because I want to take a break from Ladybug for a little bit. So just stick with me. It will come, but probably not for at least a couple videos. So, but yeah, part 3 is coming. So look forward to that. Okay, back to the video.
So I just want to address a couple of things. If you like this show, I don't think you are a person who have bad taste or you're a bad person in general. Of course not. A lot of you guys in the comments said that you agreed with what I was saying, but you were still going to continue to watch the show. And that's fine, I get it. Sometimes you want to see something to the end, hoping that maybe one day it'll get better. Trust me, I have shows like that as well. Sometimes it's just a guilty pleasure and you really don't care about the flaws. And you know what? That's fair. And if you genuinely don't see the flaws that I pointed out and think that the show is good, great. That's awesome. And I'm glad you like the show. The whole point of the video was just basically me getting my thoughts out on why I personally didn't like the show. Do I think that my rewrite is the best story that could ever be written for the Miraculous Ladybug franchise? No, of course not. The reason that this video took so long to make was mainly just due to personal stuff that I'm not really going to go into. But yeah, once I did sit down, it only took me maybe 2 or 3 hours to write the outline for it. My intent was never to write, like I said, a fully fledged season, but rather just an outline that I thought fixed the problems that I had with the original show. If I was given more time and I guess hired to write a fully fledged season, of course, I would think that this outline that I presented needs to fully be worked on and really fleshed out more. But yeah, I just wanted to make something that I thought fixed the original points I had and just executed the show in a better way. And it was just something that I would want to watch. So I understand that if what I presented wasn't, for everybody. And finally, I just want to say thank you guys. I mean, I seriously did not think that video would get as big as it did. I honestly thought, okay, it'll get a couple hundred views because, some people may like it because it's a big TV show or whatever. But I honestly did not think it would get over 5,000 views. That is insane. Thank you guys so much. I really love making these videos, so if you like these styles of videos, I guarantee you're gonna like a lot of the stuff I have on the channel. Definitely check out some of the other review videos I do. There's a playlist, I'll have a link in the description for them. If you were just here for the Miraculous Ladybug stuff, then that's okay too. Thank you for stopping by, glad to have you. But yeah, if you are here to stick around, maybe click that subscribe button. Either way, I think that's gonna do it for me and Miraculous Ladybug. So once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.